everybody. On behalf of Oman Society of Nephrology and Transplantation, CBD meeting monthly. Today is my pleasure to introduce our great speaker, Dr. Iman Alshamsi, regarding our topic today about who control the nephrology narrative in the era of social media. And I think this is a very important issue to discuss today. And before I start to introduce Dr. Iman, if I give question to all attendees about last this week, what is the source of information of nephrology you have from the social media? Please, you can send your answer in the chat. If your source is or your source is AI, your source is Twitter, your source is other part of social media, you can send in the chat. Very nice answer from the attendee. I think you will find there is many different sources. We can find our information, and this is means we use we are dependent now on the social media. And I think a small number of people now maybe depend on the books. The answer as appear is AI, Oman Society of Nephrology site. What's LinkedIn. We can notice that there is different resources from information we can get our nephrology from it. And now I can introduce my speaker, Dr. Iman Alshamsi, is consultant nephrologist and division chief at Siha Kidney Care UAE. Dr. Iman has extensive experience in nephrology, education, leadership, and digital engagement, making here uniquely qualified to discuss this issue today.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. I think your voice is breaking off. I'm not sure, is it only me or everyone else can't hear you
Dr.
now?
Iman, you can start, Dr. Iman.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
I will
Iman.
share.
تفضل حضرتك.
Yeah, I will share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's focus first. Like, what is this presentation about? What isn't it about? So I'll mainly talk about the use of social media. I will not talk about the use of AI for this presentation. Maybe we can have another presentation for that other topic. So the reason why I thought of presenting this topic is that I've noticed that my patients come to me with information that they need to verify with me that they've read, for example, on social media, and they strongly believe in their resource. So sorry, it seems that the slides. Okay, yeah, they're moving. So this is mainly a perspective. I'm not an expert in social media. My experience is modest and is mainly on LinkedIn. I speak primarily as a consumer, not as a producer. And these are self-reflection, observations, and lived experiences. So why this topic matters? Social media influences patients, trainees, and clinicians. Kidney health information is everywhere, and it's not always accurate. Institutions and experts must decide how to respond. So let's step back and define what is media. So media is a tool that transmits information, ideas, and narratives. It extends communication across time, space, and populations, shapes not only what we know, but how we think. The media is power because it determines reach, speed, and authority. Each media shift redistributes who controls the knowledge. So I'll go through some slides that go through the history of media, and it shows the influence in general and in medicine as well. So a long, long time ago, the earliest media was an older person sitting with the tribe and telling them stories from memory, and the reach was local and slow spread. The authority, as I mentioned, is the elder person or a trusted person. Then there was a shift into writing manuscripts, and the knowledge was preserved beyond individuals. Even if a person dies, the knowledge stays. But the limitation was it was limited to literacy and access to the scripts. Medicine was controlled by elites and institutions. Then the printing press caused a massive production of information, but also there was skepticism towards print, the fear of misinformation, and then does everyone really deserve to get the information from rather than being only elites? It's more spread in like more people are getting to read. So the concerns that were raised at that time mirror today's social media peers. Then newspapers came. The spread is became even bigger, and these are like some clips of what was published in the newspapers in the times of Spanish flu. So some people published, for example, that if you go to a certain massage parlor that can guarantee cure from Spanish flu, there was like some advertisement about certain milk that it can raise your immunity and prevent from flu. But also at the same time, there were some information published on newspapers to encourage people to wash their hands. And so like it's a mix of good information and bad information. Radio came, and the shift, I think, it overcame the literacy barrier. So the knowledge is not only confined to those people who can read, but also beyond that. And however, the voices were centralized. So there is one, which is the radio channel, which is spreading the news or information to many. Television as well, like there was this gatekeeper effect, which is a controlled narrative. and it's more powerful because of the addition of the visual stimulation and the emotional impact. The internet, when it was first widespreadly used, there was this newspaper article that says the internet, bah, why cyber isn't and will never be nirvana. So you can now criticize that viewpoint, as we know that internet is very important and essential to everyday life. So also academics were skeptical towards the use of the internet earlier on. There were also believers who believed in that the internet can be of good. So now shifting to social media. What is social media? It's an interactive network based platforms. And so the users create, share, and amplify the content, and the dialogue replaces one-way broadcasting. So it's no longer one person or one channel spreading the information. Everyone with an account can become a publisher. So the communication became many to many communication, and the speed is measured in seconds. The reach is no longer requires institutions, rather than it's like probably like influencers, algorithm, a mixture of both. This is the timeline of different platforms. Uh, you may or may not recognize some of the older ones, but like with the moving in the timeline, you can see that many platforms emerged and many also um, were suspended with time. So and then like nowadays there's more of AI influence in social media. So why social media spread so fast? It's low cost, emotional engagement, algorithmic amplification, and human desire to connect. However, it may spread misinformation, it may lack depth, and it may undermine expertise. Uh, there are three phases of the use of or the evolution of healthcare on social media. Early adapters focused on education and communication, while the next phase, journals and societies, institutions started to get more engaged. And nowadays, we have more of patients' voices, caregivers, and policymakers. So let's start with communication and education. I will go through a list of tools that are used on social media, like blogs, audios like podcasts, messaging apps, visual abstracts, and videos. These are some of the blogs, and maybe like later on we can take your opinion about which of these you found interesting. During my fellowship years, I found NFJC useful, as they had like regular journal clubs and discussion of articles. There are lots of blogs out there, and probably each one of us have their own favorites. The podcast I recommend to my fellows to go through the podcast as like during driving or during housework or doing any other activities, exercise, for example. You can utilize that time to listen to podcasts. These are some of the podcasts that I found interesting or useful. I listen to the Kadigo podcast, like either on Spotify. The Era platform also has a podcast called Pinch of Salt, which is interesting. The use of messaging apps, I think many of us have joined lots of WhatsApp groups to be updated about events or to discuss projects, for example. While some consider them as social media, others consider them as social communication tools because they're not, they don't have like a bigger audience. It's more confined to smaller audiences. However, there are WhatsApp channels nowadays as well. So this is a visual abstract about visual abstract. So this abstract shows that like they looked into 40 articles that were tweeted, and then they looked into like the different tweets where they citation only, or citations plus figures, or citation plus visual abstracts. And the ones with the visual abstracts had more views and more engagement. So it was like 5 times more engagement and 3.5 times more engagement, like if you compare the citation plus the figures. What about YouTube? There are lots of useful channels on YouTube that some of them I recommend to my fellows. For example, the WashU pathology course. There are lots of slides. The fellows can like view all the lectures before we start our pathology discussion or rotation. And there is also the GlomCon seminars, some of which are freely available on YouTube. This is a publication published in KI Reports, Kindi International Reports. It's about the patterns, preferences, barriers, and potential in the global nephrology community's social media landscape. And they looked into what are the tools or platforms that are mainly used. So we see that many use Twitter or X, and YouTube, with a spread of others like WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Telegram, TikTok, WeChat, Facebook, and so on. And this is showing the data in different continents or different regions of the world. So now it's a question to the audience. Which social media platform do you use as a learning or teaching tool? I think Dr. Ahmed already asked that question earlier on, like which platform do you use? And we got some of the answers. I don't know whether the audience are interacting now. I cannot see the chat. I'll move on because I cannot see the chat. So the next phase in the evolution of healthcare on social media is that more journals, societies, and institutions are buying in or are present on social media platforms. And this is for example, the Instagram account of the ASN. And as you see, they have a good number of followers, around 12,000 followers. And their posts are arranged into like posts about publications, posts about conferences, posts about tools or that you can use that are like produced by the ASN. And the crossword, I think, is a smart kind of post because in order for you to find the words, you will spend more time on the post. That will make the algorithm make it more visual for other users as well. If you are interested in creating social media posts, there is in the ISN, the International Society of Nephrology Academy, a series of lectures that you can go through to know what are the platforms that can be used, and some tutorials on how to improve your engagement on such platforms. This is the curriculum. It's divided into 9 modules, and you can go through it and learn many of the skills that are required to start or enhance your presence on social media platforms. Moving to patients and caregivers and policymakers, there are also like more recent years, patients' voices are being amplified through social media. For example, the Kidney Warrior is an interesting kind of YouTube channel with podcasts in which the different patients with renal conditions are interviewed. So patients' voices are heard, and patients can feel more supported when they hear other patients' stories. This is the CDC account on Instagram, and they have more than 2.5 million followers. And I think that the days of the glory for the CDC were mainly during the COVID-19, with people eager to learn the updates and the impact of the pandemic. So many posts were on like what are the precautions, how to prepare, what are the preparation levels at the personal level, facility level, and so on. Moving on to the risks and challenges of the use of social media. So it's not all good, and I'm not promoting for extensive use. I think what I'm promoting for is the judicious use of social media, and being aware of the pros and cons, really. So yeah, this publication was on the medical and health related misinformation on social media. And the authors looked into 529 papers, somewhere on Twitter's, YouTube, and Facebook. And okay, I think uh, I don't have the conclusion here posted, but the highlight of the paper was that there were some like a significant number of posts had misinformation. And my next slide is on two platforms, like the Vita platform, where the number of likes and the comments were only 33 and 3, while when you look at less reviewed topics or more of experience. For example, this post is about the Arabic gum that is good for kidney, sugar, and cholesterol. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying that this is a channel that is not owned by someone who is an expert on the topic of renal disease. And they have like 1,400 likes and 150 comments. And there was one about like the use of parsley juice with lots of interactions as well. So my point is that if we as nephrologists or nephrology experts do not learn how to amplify our presence on social media, someone else will. My question to the audience now is, what misconceptions have patients brought to you from social media? And I will take your help, Dr. Ahmed, because I cannot see the comment section.
I think the accuracy of the information.
You're right. So sometimes patients come to us with information that they strongly believe in, and it takes really our time and effort to explain to them the rationale or why is a certain information like not accurate and so on.
Regarding this point, many of our patients send through what's some picture of product. They see it in the YouTube or other social media and take our decision, and we explain for him the hazard of this, and most of them يعني obeyed us. I think إن
Yeah.
if there is good connection between the doctor and the patient, it can change his behavior.
Yeah, but some patients are like strongly opinionated about, like, for example, some of my patients, like, they find like resorts or places where they are promised healing and so on, and they travel to other countries to undergo like some kind of herbal medications exposure and so on,
Yes.
and they go with the faith that they want to try everything. uh, Sometimes if they discuss with us before they go, they can change their minds. But sometimes we say like الغريق يتعلق بقشة, so they just
فعلا
want
دكتورة
any
it is
hook.
not only يعني depend on the level of education. يعني
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes some high degree people like مثلا professional in university يعني asked about some things not accepted by the brain, not accepted at all. يعني sometimes مثلا في product مثلا from Middle East regarding مثلا return the kidney to work again by مثلا by ultrasound machine, and he sent to me مثلا video regarding what is your opinion regarding that my kidney can return again by this method. فاي ثينك زي ما حضرتك ما قلت الغرقان بيتعلق بقشايه.
exactly. And sometimes I actually like um, can understand why they would do that, even if they're too smart to think so. It's they're trying to see what are their options other than like for example being on dialysis and so on. Thank you for the interaction. Now I'm just summarizing what are the problems with the extensive use of social media, or that we have to be aware about. So, like, for example, the privacy concerns, the boundaries, like what is it that we can post, what is it that we cannot post, and of misinformation. We touched on that the information is not peer reviewed, conflict of interest. Maybe some people would promote for products or treatment options that they have a conflict of interest with, legal problems that if someone gives unlicensed medical advice. That's points about equity, like whoever have more presence will get heard more probably. Burnout, that is like a burnout, like in terms of if a nephrologist who is really busy at clinical work and research and presentations and so on, to keep a high impact or highly engaging social media platform, that may lead to burnout and emotional fatigue. If someone posts the wrong um, wrong information or uses a wrong term, that professional person may have their reputation harmed, and whatever is posted can circulate on the social media or internet for really a long time. The patient safety concern is about deciding on treatment options that may not be the right thing for them, for example. And how can we mitigate the risks? Probably by being conscious about what people post and having clear disclaimers. If the person posting is not a medical person, for example, or even if it's a nephrologist, I think what we have to be aware of is to specify like the information. So if we are talking about chronic kidney disease, then we have to say that this is chronic kidney disease advice, not dialysis advice. One of the problems I face with my dialysis patients is that they keep on restricting protein even when they're on dialysis. thinking that protein is bad, for example, for them. And some of them, they keep on drinking water thinking that water is good for the kidney, even when they're like on advanced CKD. So what is true for a certain stage is not true for other stages. And this has to be really specifically emphasized so patients will not have a blanket statement on what works for the kidney, for example. About the consent, like if we're going to share a patient story, it's a good idea to obtain consent and to maybe remove the points in the case in which the patient can identify themselves. So, for example, it's not necessarily that you'll post the patient's name or something that is truly a patient identifier. But even if you, for example, see the patient today and post about a story or, for example, a problem you had with this patient online, then they can identify that this post is about them. Or if the patient has a rare disease and you discuss that on one of your posts, probably they can identify that this post is about them. So if it's a rare disease, for example, it's better to get a consent and to know what are the hospital policies, what are the guidelines, and what's the country's or the government's policy also on posting on social media. And it's a good idea to separate one's professional account from their personal account. And I think I touched on the other points as well. So Dr. Ahmed discussed in the beginning of this talk that probably not many people use books. And I came across one of studies that was done on medical students. And in one cohort, only less than 50% of students were reading textbooks. So it's a shift in how people study or learn or get information. And I think our role has to be defined on how can we really influence what information people get in terms of trainees, patients, even the policy makers. Like we can voice our concerns and reach higher impact. But also I'll go back and say we have to know what are the rules and that govern our presence on social media. And so just for fun, I have this. If you like this talk, like, share, or subscribe. I'm not promoting for myself. This is only for fun. This is the end of my presentation, and I would like to have any comments or points anyone would like to raise.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. Very nice presentation. And we will start a discussion regarding we have, mashallah, yani, many professional people. And the questions regarding coming from student and junior nephrologist, what is the best sites I can learn? Especially, as we said, in there is يعني huge number of social media sites we can learn. فويل start كده with Professor عيسى السلمي. He has huge years of educated student and doctors. اتفضل بروف عيسى.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Iman, for a very elaborative and indeed up-to-date, informative lecture. I remember in recent years about the information, disinformation, of course, during COVID time. And of course, you mentioned about Spanish, which is more or less that's human beings, how they behave. And sometimes كما يقول بالعربي خطأ شائع خير من صحيح مهجور. فتend to be, we do propagate usually the disinformation more by the masses or the general people more than that's the one who are well informed. They are quite more commonly. Of course, with the actual presence of advancement of AI nowadays, even utilizing the AI, you will find that the AI is fabricating of information, whether in terms of the facts or referencing to it or how it's done, which one has to be careful in this regard. But as far as the student, really, we do differ across as we advance in our years, even at individual level, but even as a group of communities, where how we utilize the resources tend to vary, how much time as well we do have. And nowadays, time is quite really short, and we tend to utilize whatever at our means, even if it is not accurate. So that's in general my view. Now it's up to the group or the subspecies or society at large how to judge these things and to make a real sort of regulations to make things a bit under control. But I don't know whether Iman would agree with that or not, because sometimes really having a control over these things tend to be very, very difficult, especially nowadays. Thank you.
Also, we have
So,
اتفضلي يا دكتور.
yeah, so remember like the post about social media is like too many, and the network is massive. So anyone with an account can start posting. Now, I think if it's more regulated, for example, the nephrology societies worldwide, if they have bigger voices in terms of giving information to patients and having like a bigger presence, then that in my opinion should be the right way to go. However, we have to compete against the millions of accounts out there to really gain presence and to be able to make an to influence the the narrative, if you like.
Exactly, agree. Thank you, Iman.
We have comment from دكتور محمد عبد الجواد، وهو دكتور محمد ما شاء الله من الشانل او channel in the YouTube active and also produce many books regarding nephrology. فدكتور محمد, you can mute yourself and discuss this point regarding learning nowadays.
السلام عليكم.
عليك السلام يا دكتور محمد.
Thank you,
Alaikum
Dr.
salam.
Ahmed. Thank you, Iman. Nice to see you again. Thank you for this great lecture.
It's an honor that you think this talk is interesting and that you have attended.
You did a great job. Thank you. I want to ask you a question. In your opinion, will traditional conferences and journals remain the primary source of knowledge, or will social media become the first point of contact for learning in the future?
That is based so my answer is basically my opinion, right? So I cannot go wrong. I think people are, even now, when we attend conferences, is more of networking rather than really using them as a source of information. The information is out there, probably even before the conference, unless the info is announced in the conference itself. And even though like some lectures are already given in certain conferences, you see the interactions via social media, like on X or on other platforms. So the snippets of what is important in that conference is already shared. Now, whether that will hinder or decrease the number of attendees, I don't think so. I think that there will always be room for in-person in terms of, networking and really opportunity to, gain that kind of condensed, information exposure. But also there will be room for others to follow what's happening in that conferences, in these conferences, like online and via social media. And that's my opinion. Others are welcome to share their opinion.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Iman. Thank you for your opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Also wanted to listen to hearing Dr. Saga برضه have huge experience regarding learning student and junior doctors. دكتورة سجا.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Dr. Iman, for the excellent presentation. Actually, I'm from the old school. I used to read books during my study time, but now, yes, the things move very fast, and even my concern is about how to compare the social media, the existing social media, with the AI tools. About again what I mentioned earlier, the misinformation, how to control who will be the keeper of the information.
I think each one of us really has to use their critical thinking on each post they go through and go back to the resource, whether the resource is really valid or it's like not a valid source in terms of social media posts. Now with the AI, as Dr. Aisa just mentioned, that there is the hallucination part, and that is concerning. So probably like it's again back to us, that as users of AI, we have to really use our critical thinking in knowing what is it that, for example, if you use it in note writing, or if you use it in analysis of getting a differential diagnosis and so on, you are the person who interviewed or who took the history and physical from the patient. You should know your patient better. Some suggestions are really interesting, and you can balance it and see whether they're right or wrong. Some of my trainees use it in a good way in terms of, and I actually encourage the use of AI in round and so on. But I say, like, when you write the prompt, write it in a way that gives you back the resource. So for example, based on the KDIGO guidelines, what are the what is the best option for this patient, or so on. So do not just leave it open. And even with doing so, I say, like, go back to the guidelines themselves and see whether that is true. So we're all short on time, and we have lots of things to do, but it's also our responsibility to give the best care to our patients. One of the points that make the social media posts appealing, I think, to the younger generations is the attention span. So the attention span is becoming an issue with the use of with lots of information out there, and then the chronic use of social media, not only like for medical information. So younger generations have really shorter attention span on reading and so on.
Okay,
Yes,
دكتور.
I
With
agree
us
with
also دكتور علاء نوفل, هو specialist in nephrology and active in social media. دكتور علاء, if you want to say any comment. دكتور علاء معنا؟
Actually, there is one question, Dr. Ahmed, in the chat box from Dr. Jawad.
Yes. ما هو I think دكتور جواد asked the question to دكتورة Iman directly.
Can I add comment? Dr. Iman, I think for regarding the healthcare provider and with use of these social media, we need some like volunteers to be like gatekeepers or yani reviewers for these informations. And I think this yani one of them, it is like the association's role, like our association or in general, like the best example you mentioned, the American Society of Nephrology and ISN. So all these like have volunteers that to keep the reviewing the informations and keep avoid the misconduct regarding the use of the social media. What do you think?
So, for example, the ISN and the ASN, they target an audience of professionals. They target nephrologists rather than general population. In our society, the Emirates Medical Association, we have two platforms. We have the Instagram, in which we post to the media, to the general population, and we have the LinkedIn platform, in which we post about upcoming conferences, and the audience is the professionals. So I think when we talk about social media, it's not really one entity. There are lots of entities and interactions, like who's posting and who's reading, and are the professional posting, and then the audience is the general population, for example. I think until now we're not doing a good job in that term.
So
But
how will control this?
Remember, like the points I said, like
Yes.
there are lots of points that if we want to keep our jobs and keep our integrity and keep the work we have to do every day and avoid burnout, is really challenging. So I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately. Like, it depends on each one of us, what is it that they're capable of adding to the wealth, if you like, of the posts out there. But even though, if we don't understand how the algorithms work and how we can make more impact, probably whatever posts out there will not reach the goals that we have in mind. Now, about having gatekeepers, the way social media works is not going to allow us to really have a gatekeeper. Who's going to review, and how will that happen, and how will the person get remunerated or paid for that job, right? So it's really difficult. Probably, like, if we see a post that's really off, we can report it, but otherwise I don't see how we can really control what everyone else is posting. Now, one point I may have missed during the presentation is in one of my LinkedIn posts, I had a small reflection in saying that if you don't have a digital print for your patients, probably you do not exist. So that's also an important aspect, which is marketing. So some patients would Google, for example, or even ask AI, who's the best nephrologist in Abu Dhabi? And that's a true story. So one of my colleagues shared that his wife, for fun, went to ChatGPT and asked, who is the best nephrologist in Abu Dhabi? And they got an answer, they got a name. And I was just thinking, how would AI come up with that name? So I actually went to ChatGPT and asked, if that question got an answer, how do I, for example, get AI to say that I'm a good doctor too, So probably the AI will not only look at your publications, which is the usual or classical way a physician is usually like evaluated, or in an academic setting, for example. So it looks into how many posts you have and how many interactions or so on. So do you have a digital print? If you don't, probably you don't exist. That's the sad reality of today's world. Any comments to that from the audience?
Like برضو يعني we have missed big part from the community ان احنا regarding most of professional haven't shared the community by Arabic مثلا، ان احنا نعمل مقاطع فيديو مثلا small videos in the YouTube regarding مثلا correct information about the CKD, correct information about transplantation, correct information about herbals مثلا. ف I think ان احنا we need ان احنا all of us shared by language اللي هي ال understanding language of the community to can reach our information to them. We let the social media for the people not professional and maybe not at the medical field to talk about many information in depth, and the people uh, joining them found them every day or found them they are available and can send talk with them and take the information from them, and after that we put us in the defined position and we usually. فاي ثينك ان احنا we need by maybe by societies or maybe by government to doing effective people or send the effective people to talk about this point with the community.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. I think my presentation is really food for the thought and things to think about rather than what is it that, you know, the advice that you have to follow. Like probably each one of us have their own list of things that they're busy with, their own circle of influence, what is it that they can do, and probably like maybe we can, you know, start new projects or ideas on how we can be ambassadors to better kidney health in the region. Thank you.
Actually, Dr. Ahmed, may I have small comment?
تفضل كامل.
Thank you, Dr. Iman, for this good topics and open wide bridge for the discussion. Actually, I think we need to activate the institute and society to make some filter for this. Most of the publication in the social media. Social media becomes open for everyone. You can sell yourself as you like, and ask some people also to write Dr. Amr, he's the best one, Dr. Amr, and they give for them have real. Everyone will write for you. What they are doing, you know, almost company. The medicine becomes as a business, and for actually this is because the space is open for everyone, and you cannot stop everyone. The society should be at least get some presentation between in the middle. I mean, in the general mass information in Google or the things activity. We don't have a role to be stop this one or that one, but at least you can get more institutional present in this social media to get idea about concert question what is going here and there. And this is what I'm thinking. I'm going outside. For example, I was in Turkey. I'm asking what is the best cardiologist. I have one of my patients. I get hundred of list. Everyone behind him 100 message and editors given his experience with these doctors. This is what I think is more business than what is need to be getting from some institute. This is my point.
Thank you, Dr. Amr. Any comment, Dr. Iman?
Thank you. I see where you're coming from, but also you probably already acknowledge that there is some business aspect as well, and the smart person out there is not necessarily the most skilled. So again, I would go back to my post. I have actually like a visual of, you know, a person standing in front of a mirror and asking, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the best of them all, you know? So it's not really a kind of only the skill set, is about how one can market themselves. And I think the business aspect of medicine is also important, but without any fraud, of course. So one should not market themselves as, you know, with a certain skill set if they don't have them. But also what probably I think we have in our society and heritage and so on is that some people are more humble than what they should be. Probably they don't talk about their achievements much or so on. So I think social media is a good place to market for what is it that you're truly capable of, and to market your success stories and so on, which is not wrong, not necessarily wrong, but what you mentioned is that if you have like lots of people cheering for the wrong person, probably that can mislead the public.
جزاك الله خير دكتور. Any comment at the end of this session? دكتورة عيسى, دكتور جواد, دكتورة سجا.
No, thank you, Dr. Ahmed, for this great presentation. Thank you, Iman.
جزاك الله خير محمد.
Thank you all for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. I think it's a kind of outside the box kind of presentation. Hope that it will keep you thinking. Maybe we can, really start a platform regionally and, influence what people think and maybe start from here, inshallah.
Thank you very much, Iman.
جزاك
Thank
الله
you,
خير.
Ahmed. Thank you, Sajjad. Thank you, all
الله
colleagues.
يخليك.
Thank you very much.
إن
Okay.
شاء الله.
عندك النهاية يا
Thank you.
أحمد.
Thank
ماشي
you,
يا فندم.
Dr. Iman. Excellent.
جزاكم الله خيرا جميعا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير.
مع
جزاكم الله
السلامة.
خير. شكرا جزيلا. تسلم. جزاكم الله خير.
الله يبارك.